It's July 7th, 2024, and I'm speaking with John Jeckovich, World War II veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and others. And we're reading his book.
Shit, David, you got the same bullshit they have.
Are you not a Purple Heart recipient? Are you not a Purple Heart recipient?
The what?
Are you not a Purple Heart recipient?
Oh.
Yes or no?
Why mention it?
Well, I mention it. What other did he receive?
Bronze Star.
Did you receive the Bronze Star?
Yeah, just like that woman said, my son graduated from West Point.
No.
Same thing.
No.
Same thing.
No. Let me clarify that. It's not the same thing. You're knocking on a door of 100. We started off with 16,400,000 young men and women during World War II. We're down to about 100,000. About 100 are leaving this earth each day. You're making history by sitting next to, and the privilege and the honor of sitting next to a World War II vet. And you're not just a World War II vet. You fought in the Battle of Bulge, which is one of the bloodiest, number one. Number two, you were on the front line. You didn't sit in the back room somewhere in the United States teaching someone how to drive Jeeps or doing inventory. You were on the front lines, and you got wounded, Purple Heart. You got shot to the shoulder with a machine gun. Lucky it didn't go in the bone. You're still at this date, almost 80 years later. You have shrapnel in your leg, which doesn't even give the opportunity to go through an airport security without the alarms going off. And so your mind is like a library. It's a privilege to speak to a World War II
Yeah, but there's 1,000 guys like that.
There's not 1,000 guys.
Oh, hell, Dave, come on. The British, 135,000 people. We had 4 divisions there.
There were
75th was 1 division.
There were 16,400,000 ladies and men in World War II. It's down to less than 100,000 and losing 100 a day. And out of the 100,000 we're down to, it's very important, I stress this point, out of the 100,000 World War II soldiers, men and ladies, there's possibly at the most 20 to 25,000 World War II vets alive today that fought on the front line. So there's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Well, everybody's got a book on it now. You can find out everything about that Civil War by getting all the books out for it now.
Well, it's a pleasure we're talking to you. I understand how modest you are. This is history, being able to talk to somebody. I assure you, in the next 2 or 3 years, no one will have this privilege of opportunity to speak to a combat veteran from World War II. Now, the only thing we have to learn now from a veteran from World War I is in a book. We have you live. We have you live right here.
Well,
so that's why I say I'm with John Jeckovich, World War II.
And everybody's got a book on it.
I'm with John Jeckovich. Stop being so modest. I'm with John Jeckovich, World War II a veteran, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, shot up, sitting here in perfect health, except his knees gave out, of 70 to 80 years of jogging. It's unbelievable. He still reads the newspapers, never uses any glasses. I call him a super soldier.
Now you remember Smith. He was right. He wrote a book too.
Yeah, but Smith is dead. You're not.
Huh?
Smith is dead.
I don't know if Smith's dead.
I should. Smith is probably dead, but you're not. We're just happy to have you here.
Oh, well.
We're happy to have you here to share your history with people.
Look at Biden's wife, how happy she is to see him here yet. Huh?
Well,
Dr. Biden, I mean.
Dr. Jill Biden.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Just a minute, please. Let me
what you should do is walk away, go up and come through someplace, get a farmer, get the hell out of it.
Let me just clarify this.
He said, I'm sticking by. What are they going to do with him?
Well, let me just clarify this. Dr. Jill Biden is about as much of a medical doctor as Dr. Pepper or Bill Cosby. And let me just clarify that you brought it up, and I hate to talk politics, but you brought it up. We're here to learn the history of World War II firsthand from someone who was in the dirt and in the snow doing it. So it's a privilege, and I'm honored to listen to you. And I know that you're so modest, you're coming back with playing the devil's advocate, but we're so happy to hear you.
Yeah.
So, did you want to read the rest of your book, or you want me to read it?
Read it, go ahead.
Yeah, but what you said about Dr. Jill Biden, she's bragging all the time. You're not bragging, we're just telling a story. This is nothing about bragging by no means. It's telling a factual
Oh,
story.
my son graduated from West Point.
Well, we never said that. You never graduated from West Point. You graduated from Trot Vocational School, and you went into the Army to fight for World War II.
He doesn't like us bragging on him.
What?
We're not, but that's the bottom line. You're living history. You're living history.
And there's 1,000 books on it already.
Your book is not for profit. Your book is not for sale. Your book is strictly to tell a story.
Well, everybody knows about the damn book now.
Well, let me continue. Your book is not for sale. Your book is just history. You wrote with your own pen. You didn't have no one helping you write the book.
Remember I told you in the house a year ago, I said, that book is not going to be binded up, dressed up. That book stays as it is.
It stays like it is.
Yeah.
And look at all the pages are crumbled and because it's been used. Your book has been highly used. Your book is in horrible shape physically, but we have it all together and we read from it every day.
Yeah.
What a better world would be if all the Bibles were in rough shape physically, the books themselves as your book. But please, don't ever compare yourself to a politician, because you're no politician.
Well, Dr. Biden thinks that her husband's a great hero.
Well,
He can work around every people here. He's got the charm, he's got the chatter, he's got the grace, he's got this, and he can't even talk.
well, you're the real deal. You're not a politician. You never would be a politician. And keep your difference. A person like, say, Biden or any of these damn politicians, this is how they think. This is exactly how they think. They're very selfish people with huge egos. For example, you went to the war to sincerely help others. You didn't think about losing your life. If it happened that way, it did. If it happened that way, it did. But this is how these politicians think. For example, if you were on life support, a politician would unplug your life support just so he could plug in his cell phone and charge it. That's the politician. Completely the opposite is you. You are the real deal. So let's be happy you're here to share the book, to share the history of your book, because when you're long gone and pushing up daisies, and when I'm long gone pushing up daisies, some youngster will be able to read the book.
There's no bragging in that book, though.
You're not that type of person. That's why there's no bragging.
No
It's
bragging in
completely
that book.
straightforward. So we should
My
be,
son was from West Point.
well, we're not saying that. We're not saying that. Only thing we are saying is you're doing a great job. We're laying the facts out as they are, with no fanfare, and I can continue reading if you wish. You want me to continue reading?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Well, overseas and beyond. The tick mattresses made me uncomfortable, and I tried to use my blanket to cover as much as I could. The room was cold and damp, and the one small window was painted black and closed shut. It probably had not been open for years. I did not give much hope for any fresh air entering our immediate area. I buttoned the collar on my field jacket, slipped my wool knit cap over my head, dropped my shoes onto the wooden floor, and hurriedly covered myself in the remaining blanket roll. I did not think of a thing, nor did I recall the past conditions as the former camp, but I fell asleep within minutes,
Yeah. All pooped out.
all tired out.
That's a 19-year-old talking.
Yeah, 19-year-old. Unbelievable. With with what seemed only minutes later, I was awakened by a shrill whistle and a sharp jam on my shoulder. At first I did not know where I was, as the room was still completely dark. I sat on the edge of the bunk, trying to orient myself. Lape did the same as he threw his feet over the side of the top bunk. Naturally, he struck me on the top of my head and quickly said he was very sorry. Now I was thoroughly awake. I heard Fink shouting out in the street as quickly as possible for a march down to breakfast. As we tumbled into the street, it was dark and the luminous dial on my watch said it was 0500 hours. The only non-coms about were Fink and Sergeant Rupert, who was cheerfully cajoling everyone, and the good deal we had fallen into. After we had formed up in some kind of formation, we were given a right face and approached to march down to the cobblestone street. There were 2.5s that brought us up. As we marched down the steep grade, the quaint wooden sign stated that it was Milford Road, which was getting our first glimpse of the town where we're staying in. It was a quaint agricultural town and probably dating back to the Normans, with its cobblestone pavements and a small place cottages squeezed together, almost forming an unattached structure. Each cottage had its own two-stepped entrance to a short stone stoop. We noticed several women already scrubbing the stoops and polishing the brass on the front doors. There was not any vehicle traffic, and this was the first struck me. The complete absence of total silence of moving automobiles or trucks. There were some civilians about, and they were all walking and riding bicycles, and so we could hear them clanking their heavy shoes made on the pavement. There were no front yards, as the front entrances to the cottages were directly off the narrow streets. They went up the steps and stood and were in their little dwelling. I thought it was very strange that the people would adjust to this type of environment, but I soon learned that there were many more adverse environments that this peaceful little town offered. We reached the mess hall and entered it, a sweet-smelling, well-lighted domain. We were served by the same Negro detachment, as we soon learned they were permanent here. How lucky they were. For breakfast, we had flapjacks and hot syrup, fried eggs and potatoes, and plenty of hot coffee. It was the only bright spot in our immediate future, and we appreciated it all the more. How was that breakfast?
What?
How was that breakfast?
Today?
Yeah, in South Wales.
In South Wales?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Okay. I heard you ate 27.
No, we had breakfast from the mess hall, from the Army mess hall. And we ate outside.
I heard you ate 27 pancakes.
Well, that was not that time, probably in that area, sometime in that day, yeah. Well, we hadn't eaten them but stupid K rations.
After breakfast, we were ushered into a small room and finally briefed to our situation. We would be in Haverford West no longer than 6 weeks and possibly less than 4 weeks. It would be there we would acquire our personal weapons and our crew weapon. We would also be issued some winter clothing provisions, and we obtained here what we would finally be going to combat with. So there at Haverford West, you're giving your combat clothing.
Yeah, tell us strip your weapons down, clean them up, and put them back together. And then they gave us new issues of galoshes, not the buckle ones, the regular ones the paratroopers were. And then we got underwear and parkas, gloves.
But that's what you would wear into combat.
Yeah. But it was spring then. It was the cold weather was over with. That's why I had this damn senseless last night I couldn't sleep.
And also you got frostbite.
Huh?
Frostbite. You got frostbite.
Yeah. And then they said, where the hell you get frostbite in Florida?
What a dumbass to say that. Who would say that?
Shit. I don't tell nobody nothing.
Kick
I
it
don't
right
tell
in the
nobody
ass.
nothing.
They knew you got frostbite
Yeah.
in World War II in Germany. For them to say that, they're just being a
They
wise
said,
ass.
they said, did you go overseas and have for West or England and that? And I said, yeah, okay, I gotta go by. Yeah, but those stupid civilians are naive as hell. I keep telling the guys that are in the service, I said, just consider they're civilians, your army. The civilians don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on. Wow.
I still think I'm army oriented. I'm not a civilian. I'm oriented.
Yeah, I concur that with you.
Huh?
I believe that's true what you're saying.
And I'm not bragging either. They wanted to give me a field commission. I said, I'm not taking no field commission. I'm not going to order these crazy fools around, but I don't have no education, no background. I'll be a 90-day wonder. Oh, my son's a second lieutenant. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Stevie was a pain in the ass on that boy. Doctor this, doctor that.
Yeah. What was he a doctor of?
Well, he got a doctor's degree. Yeah, he got a doctor's degree legitimately.
But he wasn't a medical doctor.
No, doctors are
A PhD.
classified as intellectuals too.
Yeah, PhD.
Yeah, he did it. He did a lot of work of that. The doctor's degree. Had essays and everything else. He worked out because I was there. Every time I worked there, he worked out his degree. So it could be called doctor. And he had a legitimate reason to be called doctor, yeah. Not like Biden, Dr. Biden. She just put the name on her and she's a doctor.
Yeah. Well,
Just like I would put a second lieutenant. I boasted I was no second lieutenant. I was a stupid GI.
we were all informed that the showers would be available.
Pardon?
We were all informed that the showers would be available and they would be serviced away from our main billet. Also, the present mat ticks would be disregarded and the new mattresses issued, which was good news. And in conjunction with the two billets themselves, individual fireplaces in each room would be serviceable and supplied with a quantity of soft coal.
What the hell are all these people talking?
There would also be initiated a fire watch during the nighttime, so to avoid any fires or flare-ups in the old wooden buildings. During our short time there would be also commenced training schedule, including physical training, refresher courses, training films, and several cross-country hikes. Also, there would be a posted on the daily roster, nothing had changed. The Army was still the Army, no matter where you stationed. On the last item was report reminder. On the last item was reported the remainder of the day would be devoted to personal hygiene, individual showers, changing of clothes, and policing of our immediate area and living quarters. We would also march down to the mess hall 3 times a day in military fashion and maintain military discipline at all times. Traffic control would be sustained as the company marched to Chow. As we marched back from Chow, our briefing, we felt better and came to a conclusion that this combat duty would not be as tough as we thought. How little did we know or realize at this point. Wales is bounded by the north and west by the Irish Sea, and in the south by the Bristol Channel. It has a length of approximately 136 miles, a breadth of 112 miles, and is 600 feet above sea level. It's a region of heavy rainfall in areas above 1,000 feet, and it could average about 60 inches of rainfall annually.
Oh boy, that's all rain there, yeah.
Wales lies on the warmer eastern side of Britain, and the valleys of the west coast are sheltered from the cold east winds. As a correspondence, they enjoy an extremely mild climate. A combination of climate and environment affords its mixture of agricultural, coal mining, and the prestigious slate industry. Its ethnic composition and language is mixed in origin, with a steady decline in Welsh languages and a premium placed on English language. It was mainly Methodist in religion, with great increase in Baptist and Independents. The Anglican Church remains the dominant and the largest denomination with the largest number.
8 minutes.
Sergeant Rupert informed us we broke formation upon arriving back to our billets, and the remainder morning would be utilized in policing Sergeant Billet Rupert informed us we broke formation upon arriving back to our billets, and the remainder of the morning would be utilized in policing our platoon area. The GI remainder of the morning would be utilized in policing our platoon, and that is GIing it. What's GIing it mean?
Well, you get a couple of pails of hot water with soap in it, you throw it on the floor, wooden floor, you get a couple of stiff brooms, and scrub the hell out of the floor.
So that's what GIing means.
And then you get a hose and wash the whole damn thing down.
So that is GIing it, our living quarters from top to bottom. So every barracks you stayed at, you had to GI?
Pardon?
Every barracks you stayed at, you had to GI it?
Yeah, and then they could check the windshield, windows, sills, so they're not got dust. Now it goes to the whole building. But they throw that damn floor, soapy water all over the floor, scrub it down, hose it down. They could do it because they had drainage ditches on both sides of the house.
Yeah.
It wasn't a regular house.
Yeah. We piled up the old, dilapidated, smelly tick mattresses outside for about garbage detail to pick them up, and proceeded to scrub down our sleeping area, as ordered from top to bottom. Lape helped, but I could see that he was not accustomed to doing this type of work. Fake and I and the rest of the squad did the brunt of the cleaning, and in short time, the place looked and smelled a lot better than we first arrived.
Oh, you know what I want to give you, Dave? Where the hell I see those? I had notes. I wrote to Delphine when we lived in Orleans and other place. Little notes about this tagged out, and I got about 50 of them.
I'll look for them. I remember those notes.
Yeah, but I know I see. I was reading them the other day, and I think I put them in a drawer.
I'll look for those notes.
Yeah.
I know you.
I used to write her about 3 notes a day.
You just find a scrap piece of paper and you write a note.
Yeah.
I'll look for those notes.
You looked at those notes?
I'll look for those notes. I remember seeing them
Yeah.
many years ago.
I seen them the other day, so I must have put them in a drawer.
You seen them the other day?
I seen them. Yeah, I seen them the other day. Yeah.
All right. I'll look for them at my end. You look for them at your end.
And some of them are just tacked in like a like a photograph album. You got pages, you just stick them in there and tack them on. I see those. I had about
I've seen 'em
five
years
booklets.
I seen them years ago, and I'll definitely find them for you. And you at this end, look for them at this end, and together we'll get them. Together we'll get them.
What?
Those notes that you want. The notes.
I seen the notes the other day, so I put them in the drawer.
Minutes?
There was little notes I gave Delphine 2 or 3 times a day. You did a wonderful job today, honey. The breakfast was great.
Could you read some more? Could you remember some more notes?
What?
I'm listening. Could you remember some more notes you might have wrote?
I remember them?
Yeah, could you say a few?
Yeah, but those notes are probably just the originals. I had about 50 of them. And they were in the scrapbook and everything else.
Well, we'll find them. That's the end of that story. We'll find them.
Just a piece of scrap paper, and then, honey, we did this today. You did a good breakfast today. We're going to go out and go shopping today. Okay, this and that.
So it's very nice.
Yeah.
See, that's good history to keep. We'll find them and we'll keep them. We'll put them in our own scrapbook for you. Yeah.
And I got that in the filing cabinet. I got a 26-page write-up on a book I was writing.
Do you remember the subject?
Living in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that, and I had that too. I looked at that the other day too. So I got a, I don't know, I got screwed up. I moved here and I moved there. But we got to go back to that house and Jack upstairs. I got 5 copies of that book.
Yeah.
Immaculate. They're all typed up and everything, but the different sections.
Yeah, I understand.
But they match up to the whole book.
I understand. You showed them to me. Yeah. They're not going nowheres.
But those books, those sections can be copied.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, well, definitely.
See, I forget about that shit. I just had to come across it the other day.
Right. Minutes?
Two.
Were you in the army?
Our billets were at Milford Road, so our guide directed us up the road to the intersection of Albert Street and Shipman's Lane. Instead of finding Milford Road down to street grade on Dew Street, we turned left on Albert Street and headed up another steep grade until we came to Portfield Street, which was the turn off for the orderly room. We veered left on Barn Street until we came to City Road and our shower building.
Now see how detailed that is? See how detailed
How
it
do
is?
you know all that?
I have no idea how you remembered all those streets 80 years ago.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah,
How can you remember all that?
yeah. One guy said, we read your book, he said, we can anticipate a question, but the next sentence answers the question.
Yeah, I'm finding the same thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I love it, yeah. All in all, it was roughly 2.5 miles from our billets, generally up steep grades and narrow streets. Incidentally, our shower building had a code name on it, Kangaroo Pit 2. Kangaroo Pit 2.
Kangaroo?
Your shower room had a code name on it, Kangaroo Pit 2.
Oh, the shower.
Yeah,
That was Army.
yeah.
Yeah.
Upon entering, we discovered it was rather an old building, somewhat like our present billets, but appeared that the Army engineers did some retrofitting here during the last several years. There were 6 overhead showers in rectangular space, approximately 12 feet in length and 6 feet across. Sitting adjacent to the shower area in an enclosure were 6 waist-high sinks with mirrors located at each sink.